Our focus today will be on the larger issues that concern Goa, on environment. So we will look at climate change. We will look at loss of biodiversity. We will look at water pollution, how our waterways are used. And we will deliberate on them. And our objectives largely will be to arrive at solutions and not complain. Yeah? So we will see how we can come up with action points that can be taken forward, whether it's by the youth, whether it's by the community at an individual level, even some points where the government can take action.
I don't know, I'm not an environmentalist, or I'm not a botanist, or I'm not a designer, an architect, or anything of that sort. I'm just a citizen. And we may keep tom-tomming about the fact that today is the opinion poll and keep telling ourselves of how wonderful a people we are because we decided our own destiny some 50 or 60 years ago. But the point is, I think, if the 16th of January 1961 is the day that we won the opinion poll, 67, sorry, the year I was born, yeah. And I think 15th of January 2015 or 2016 should go down as the day that Goa was kind of officially destroyed by this government in power. I think we need to cut to the chase. 2 decades of relentless struggle by the people of Goa, 2 decades of trying to make the authorities see reason, 2 decades of getting out on the streets, filing public interest litigations, and really putting in sweat, blood, and tears. Not me. You know, I could possibly be some kind of a telegenic face at some point of time. But the hundreds of activists who put in, hundreds of activists, journalists, concerned citizens who've really burnt the midnight oil to try and keep Goa somewhat, as it were. I mean, not that progress does not happen. That has been dealt a body blow in just this brutal, swift, and absolutely murderous session that we just had. This assembly session must go down as the darkest session in Goan history. I think this has to be said. Because whether it is every trick in the book to try and circumvent sensible regional planning, every trick in the book to try and circumvent sensible mining, every trick in the book to circumvent sensible development has been put to law in these 5 days of the Goa Assembly. And so therefore I don't know whether we can keep waxing eloquent at seminars like this, we can keep coming out on the streets, we can keep filing public interest litigations, but I can just confidently tell you that over the last decade or so that I have been sort of in my free time, most of the times I'm out practicing medicine and making money, which is much more fun. And I can tell you that being an activist, or being a sincere journalist, or being a politician, a genuinely sincere politician, is the toughest job on the planet. The toughest job on the planet. It's a thankless, sacrificial job. And there's just this one thing I want to tell you, that nothing will change Goa other than good, honest politics. Nothing else. The rest of it is hogwash. And so therefore all I'd want to say to you, I don't know, I'm not trying to boast about it, is we all need to take a political position. If you want to sit on the fence, there's just going to be grass, not coconut trees, that's going to grow under your feet. You need to take a political position. I do not care whether you want to say that you are Congress. I do not care whether you want to say you're BJP. I am AAP. That's it. I believe in AAP. I believe in the AAP philosophy. That's it. But each and every one of us, especially the intelligentsia, from now on has to have the guts to say that you are a political animal. America progresses as a democracy because someone says he or she is a Democrat, a voter, a worker, a fundraiser, everyone. Either he's a Democrat, or he's a Republican, or he's an independent. But they take a political position. We take activist positions, we take fence-sitting positions, we take urban designing positions, we take architectural positions, we take doctors' positions, and we love to say we are very honorable citizens. We are not honorable citizens if we don't take a political position. That's all that I want to say.
Thank you, Doctor. Can we have Dr. Ramaya with your opening comments now?
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. After this blazing statements by Dr. Askar Ribolo, what I'm going to say is about I'm a marine scientist, therefore I'll focus my attention on aquatic bodies in Goa and the kind of vulnerability they have been subjected to and indiscriminately used for the purposes that are invariably difficult for the ecosystems to cope up. That said, everybody is visibly seen. I'm not going to make a political statement, but the truth is the fact that we have casinos right in front of our eyes when you go. There are 5, 6 of them from the Dempo House to that, the Riviera place. When you see that, I have had an opportunity of having dinners in Riviera. In less than 20 minutes, there will be about 20-25 boats going to one of the nearest casinos there. I counted one day, at least an average of 10 people board every time and go into the casino. In this 20 minutes, if there are 10 boats going, you are loading 100 people, and that's a 24/7 event, I guess. So what am I worried about? I'm not worried about their gambling there. What I'm concerned as an ecologist is the fact that they're adding up their wastes into the sinks of this ship. And I'm not going to say this publicly, but the truth of the fact is that when you're floating on the water, you normally don't treat that waste. And I think that's what is happening, because of which our Mondavi, one of the most beautiful rivers, is no more having the kind of oxygen or the clean water that I saw 30 years back when I joined NIO to now. And this is a fact that we have to go through to understand. Kampal Creek. Back in '95 was the first time I sampled the waters from Youth Hostel Point and reported in our scientific report saying that the water quality is extremely bad in this spot. And then, of course, our colleagues have done a great deal of job in giving the government the kind of inputs that are required in order to make policies which are essential to guard not only the ecosystem, but also the whole health of the area around. Let me tell you this, one simple thing. We have, in Goa, we all love eating crab. The crabs breed in the shores. And if the water is unclean, see, for every crab you get about 200,000 eggs. Instead, not even 20% of them can survive and become big adults to give rise to. Therefore, the environmental pollution that we create is going to be a big problem. And we have tried to explain it to the governments in various fora. And I hope, like Dr. Rebero said, one day it is not just a political statement a citizen has to make. It has to be a citizen-motivated protection event that has to come into force, so much so that the governments really do not matter. This is my submission. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ramaya. Vinayak, can we have your opening remarks now?
Okay, well, thank you all for inviting me to participate in this from 500,000 miles away. And it's great to see Oscar Ribello, one of my heroes in the college days. Thank you for everything you do, Oscar. My comments will be obviously parachuted upon you. I don't know much about the day-to-day things of what's happening in Goa, but I come there every year to visit my parents, and I observe a lot of things and go back. And here are the 3 most pressing concerns from my point of view, from sort of my expertise lens. And these are not problems unique to Goa, so in the discussion session, Talula, we can talk more about solution-driven issues or things like that. The first one is nature outside the city. All cities, all places essentially are sprawling across the world. This is not a problem unique to Goa. And the biggest problem, particularly in India, is the conversion of agricultural lands, which has become a very significant issue in Goa now. and the palm trees are part of that bigger discussion. The specific problem, as I see it, is if you have a piece of land in the middle of a field away from the city, it's an exurban parcel. Basically, you want to reap the rewards, just like everyone else. You want to convert it into a zone that can be developed, and you want to build a building there. The issue is twofold, and we'll talk about solutions later. The issue is the kind of developments we do are not simply ad hoc, but they're also the same kind of development that you find in the middle of the city, which from a planning perspective means that, at least in Goa, like other cities in India, there's really no difference in the way we design a city and we design a village. There was a time in Goa and elsewhere where the idea of a village was entirely different from the idea of a city. So that's number one. The second point is there's nature within the city, and the creek is at the heart of that. And what is beautiful about nature within the city is it is one of those things that can mitigate inequality in cities. So I've always loved to go on beaches because every time you stepped on a beach, it actually negates your income status or your social standing. You know, the sand and water, basically, if you're rich or you're poor, it really doesn't matter. You're occupying the beach the way you want. So public spaces in a city have the ability of really reconciling economic polarizations, conflicts, and so on and so forth. That's number two. So the promise of the creek is amazing, not just as an ecological feature, but as a social exercise within the city. The third one is there's a lot of talk about public participation. I completely agree with Oscar on politics is probably the most important pressing catalyst for transforming Goa. And what that means exactly is a very difficult question. But we all talk about public participation needs to be done. It's a very righteous thing to say. From our experience in many cities all across the world, the definition of public participation is never a singular one. You have to craft very tactically, very politically, what public participation means on the vibe of the kind of public you find in a particular place, and the kind of the political vibe you find, the administrative vibe you find, and so on and so forth. So I want to focus on these three, and we can talk more about this as we discuss further.
Yeah, thank you, Vinayak. I'd like to now invite Lisa.
Yes, I'm not an environmentalist. I'm just a citizen of Goa, a villager. I live on the island of Charang. My husband's family is from there. I'm talking about how eco-fragile that entire island structure is, all the islands that are around over there. However, in recent times, as way back as 2009, a very big company called C-Scan bought a property opposite Santishtevan, and in fact just opposite where Father Bismarck was found. And he about 2 lakh square meters, and he had put it up on the internet that he wanted to start a dry dock, shipbuilding yard, river port for transport of iron ore, offloading of coal, and treatment of ship ballast water. That entire region is full of freshwater springs, the entire region of that belt of Narwa. And on top of that, all those river springs and those springs, one road was going to come through, and then suddenly from Amona, one Konkan railway that would join up over there. So 2009, Father Bismarck was on the other side of Santishtevan with his binoculars. I happened to meet him for 2 years earlier on another